if somebody is dying, and I know that he is going to die, I want to ease death for him. I'm not talking about mercy killing. And he is in torture. What should be a dying atmosphere?
Actually,
should it be full of Gayatri Mantra? Should it be lighted, yagna, light, candle?
No.
What should be the atmosphere at home or in ICU? Yes. Should I shift him to home? People ask me that my father is dying. Should I shift him at home or should I let him die in the hospital? In the hospital, they say, should I let him die in the ventilator on an ICU or should I shift him in the room? These are the questions asked to us every day. That how will you help easing out my father's death in terms of karmic bondage?
Dr. Ji, you have asked a very, very good question, very interesting question. But I don't know how you like the answer.
But that's what we face every day.
The answer is, when you are almost sure, you simply send him home. This has got its disadvantages, but it is good for him. Because, see, there will be people, all friendly, and they may tell some shloka, this, that, so on and so forth. So it will be a more peaceful affair. Sometimes we see these people are kept in ICU for 6 months, 1 year. Kailasashram Matadishwar, he was kept for nearly 2 years. What is fun in that? There's no meaning in that. Therefore, what generally in traditional family what happens is, the moment they have started going, everybody knows, then they will start singing Lalita Sahasranama, Vishnu Sahasranama, all these things. So there will be sort of a festive atmosphere. All of them will be singing. Of course, some people will be crying. So this is sort of atmosphere that is maintained. That atmosphere you can't give in an ICU. A peaceful death is possible only amidst his own people.
Okay. There is a description in Srimad Bhagavad as well as in Bhagavad Gita that Yogi Munis can die at will. They can go to Nirvana at their will, and it is humanly impossible by a person who has not acquired those siddhi.
Actually, these are all very special powers. For instance, Bhishma was one such. Okay. And also some people who remember the past, they are called Jatismara. Okay. For instance, Jadabharata was a Jatismara. Okay. So therefore very, very unusual, very special cases. They are big yogis and their specific yogas are there for that. They don't come under common experience.
Okay. Now it is medically possible to store organs and sperms and ova for decades together. I can take a human sperm and freeze it and keep it for 60 years, 70 years, 80 years. So it is possible for me to father my grandchild. Anybody, even after 60 years, my sperm can be used and preserved. It is also possible that if I die suddenly, and if I freeze my body, if I freeze my body, I can revive my body even after days.
That means, no, when
before
death it is frozen, that is a possibility.
Before that means the heart has stopped.
That's right.
But Udanvayu, that means can Udanvayu and Pranvayu be frozen in Shastra, Swaraj Shastra?
I'm telling you, that's correct. In fact, it's very much correct. This is...
That means your three vritti, your Vak, your Manas and your Pran, they can be frozen.
It's not a question of they being frozen. It's the body being frozen. What exactly is, for instance, this is my conjecture. Okay. Oh, you see that some of the people are almost nitya. Say, for instance, Vyasa. Okay, he's living even now. For a long period, I was not believing it. But now you know, as you are yourself telling, if the body is appropriately frozen, it will continue to live. But that's the reason why I think perhaps they will be sitting in some caves full of ice and they are frozen. Whenever they feel like coming out, they will come out and once again go inside. Therefore, it is not surprising if they are alive even today. It could be possible.
It could be possible. So we'll invite a few questions from the audience. 3 or 4 questions somebody has. Yes. Please come here, introduce yourself, and come here and in the mic so that you can be in the video.
I'm Dr. Wadia. I had a few questions. If I permitted, I'll quickly ask. Like Swamiji mentioned that there are people who are lying in coma and there's no point, like 5 months, 6 months down the line. There have been quite a few cases where people have been in coma for 12 years, 13 years, and they have been revived thereafter. So as far as doctors are concerned, I don't know, they will always be in a dilemma as to when to say, okay, now this is about all and you can take them back.
I will like to answer this. The question was not where medical science says that he is revivable. There are situations in medical science where we know that this person is not going to get revived. We call them as do not resuscitate orders. In that situation we are talking about, should we shift him to the room or not? Say for example, if I tell my patients that he is not going to live for more than 12 hours. Okay, now those 12 hours, should he be in the hospital or at home? That was my question to ask. We never said that in a person of coma, send them at home. Coma means reversibility is there.
Yes.
I am only talking about a hypothetical situation where I say, now he's going to die in the next 1 hour. And that 1 hour, should it be in the hospital or should it be at home? Because Bhagavad Gita says, Uttarayan, Purnima se pehle, दिन का समय, अग्नि के सामने, रोशनी के सामने, मोक्ष मिलता है. That's what Bhagavad Gita says. That means, if I send that patient home, सब जगह पे लाइट कर दूं, दिया जला दूं, रोशनी लगा दूं, maybe in those last half an hour, he will become more positive. His thoughts will become more positive. I am assisting natural death. That was the question.
There were a couple of terms which were used very frequently in one of the courses which I attended, and the terms were like life between lives.
Huh?
Life between lives.
Life?
Life between lives. If we believe in past lives, more than one, perhaps there is life between the two lives also. So do you, Swamiji, would you believe in that or this is just a myth?
No. See, life is, in that sense, it never dies. There's nothing like between two lives. But if you take this like this, the death now and the birth next. Between the two, if you say, it is heaven and hell there. And also, it could also be, for quite a long time, they would be in suspense. That is also possible, for a long time. For instance, at the time of Pralaya, what happens is, all the jivas will stay for a very long time and then they are born. That's also possible.
Okay, one last question.
Yeah.
Many a number of times it has been talked about that there are evil spirits and good spirits also which enter the body of an individual, and the term we use, spirit release therapy. Would you believe that there is something like spirit release which is possible?
I don't know.
Let me put down this question again. In our mythology, my first question to his interrogator is that in our Vedic sciences, in Hinduism, do we believe in Bhoot, Pret and Pishach?
It's there.
They are there. So that means that when you talk about life in between the two lives, then only you can explain with that concept. The Islam, the Sikhism, they don't talk about that. They don't. The religions who don't talk about rebirth, there this question will not come. Now, medically, if you have to talk about Bhoot, Pret and Pishach, the word Bhoot is that somebody who is known to you, he is coming to your dreams. He is coming to he is in touch with you. Somebody who knows you is Bhoot. Pret is somebody unknown is in touch with you, but he is not harming you. And Pishach is somebody unknown is in touch with you. That means you are getting disturbed by the presence of somebody and he is harming you. And that's Pishach. In medical science, Bhoot, Pret and Pishach comes only in the REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. We call them as REM sleep. That's the only time you get the knowledge of REM sleep. Medically, when somebody comes to me कि मेरे को भूत नजर आते हैं, I give them either SSRI medicine, which reduces REM sleep, or I ask him to do Hanuman Chalisa, and Hanuman Chalisa में भूत प्रेत निशकंड कट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे. And in Hanuman Chalisa, recitation of Hanuman Chalisa, if done properly, reduces your respiratory rate, because you recite the 4 lines in one deep breathing. It reduces your respiratory rate. It shifts you from sympathetic to parasympathetic mode. And when you reduce your respiratory rate, your REM sleep reduces. When your REM sleep reduces, the Bhoot, Preta, Pishach, which comes in REM sleep, they will reduce. Okay, I'm talking about pure science, I'm not talking about the Vedic science. Now this is a medical doctor talking about it. That, and then second thing is, Bhoot, Preta, Pishach may also mean, if I don't believe in life in between life, then the explanation for Bhoot, Preta, Pishach is, say for example, my very close friend, he has given me a work, and he dies. So whenever I think of him, मुझे वो काम याद आ जाता है. And that calm produces a guilt in me. मेरे अंदर में guilt आ जाती है कि मैंने उसका काम नहीं किया. जब तक मैं उसका काम नहीं कर दूंगा, उसकी याद मेरे को मेरे ड्रीम्स में REM स्लीप में आती रहेगी, एंड ऐसे उसका भूत मुझे सता रहा है. That feeling is there. And when I do my Pinddan, that means I say कि मैंने उसका काम कर दिया, और I go to Hardwar and do a Pinddan, and I say अब मेरा पिंड छोड़ दो, मैंने तेरा काम कर दिया. And from next day he stops disturbing you in your dreams. So there are both the answers in explanations. Medical explanation, if I don't believe in life in between life, then my answer is that it's a guilt which is causing that. But if I believe in a rebirth and a life in between the 2 lives, that means there is a hell and a heaven. That means Bhoot Pret is suspended license. उनको जिंदगी का license नहीं मिला. They are in a suspension. In that theory, in a suspension, then the answer will be meditation and dhyan. Because meditation, dhyan also reduces REM sleep. In both the philosophies, his science and my science will agree, the reasons may be different, that it is possible to have Bhoot, Pret, Pishach. And when you say कि उसकी रूह को निकाल दिया मैंने, that means that feeling, that guilt, you have taken it out.
What about suicidal death?
Say suicidal deaths are unnatural deaths. Suicidal deaths are always unnatural deaths. उसके साथ में जो है, Garud Puran talks about it, and then in a suicidal deaths are not natural deaths. They are always guilt, and there is always a treatment and prevention for that possible. Would you like to answer? Yes, please.
In non-natural deaths, this Vagvritti, Manovritti, Pranavritti, they don't get formed properly as they should. Therefore, it certainly causes disturbance. Therefore, actually in Shastra, special karmas are made to help him to get the Vagvrittis properly.
So if you talk about Shraddh in our, somebody asked me as a medical doctor, कि मैं श्राद्ध मनाऊं कि नहीं मनाऊं? Somebody, I said yes. अगर आपके कोई गिल्ट बाकी हैं, अगर आपके ancestors की किसी की कोई desire बाकी है, then you should observe श्राद्ध. And there is a procedure of श्राद्ध. श्राद्ध के अंदर में काले तिल की पूजा की जाती है. And Ayurveda में if you read about black sesame seed, it reduces attachment disorders. In श्राद्ध you take kusha grass. The puja is of kusha grass. And you remember the word love and kush. Love and kush also indicates that if you take kusha grass and respect it, you get more love. Loving is synonymous with kush. Kusha is a grass which is worshipped in Maharashtra. If you take kusha grass juice every day, it reduces REM sleep. Medically, it reduces REM sleep, and kusha grass takes care of Bhoot, Pret and Pishach. So somebody says, मेरे को भूत प्रेत आते हैं, we say take a kusha grass juice every day, and it helps. And then here comes Ayurveda. So in every pathy there are some answers for that. So I, as a medical doctor, can explain in both the languages. If you say I am an Astik, I'll give you the medical answers. If you say I am an Astik, I'll give you the medical answers. So it is possible. घुमा फिरा के, our purpose is to heal. My person has come to me, मुझे भूत नजर आते हैं. He wants मेरा भूत निकले. So, and medically there are answers for that. There are answers for that. Any other question? Yes, please.
I am Dr. Bhatia. I must reverentially compliment Mahayogi, I'll say, who has given insights to what I have experienced in my personal lives. Whatever he has said, I endorse as a medical man, 100% right. There are transcorporeal journeys this body has undergone. There are lokas. If Gita says, Nainam chedanti shastrani, nainam dehati pavaka, na chainam kledentyapo, na shosh ati maruta. What he has said, yes, there is a suspended animation between what we call this physical body as the life. But yes, the journey of the soul does not know what is life, what is death. It is a continuum process, like the time. There is nothing like past, present, future when you cross these things. It's very deep philosophical, mythological thoughts, but I was absorbed in so many things that I would like to add one thing to the knowledge of everyone. I heard someone say that there is now a name for what is called the death rays. Death rays. What Swamiji has said that about vrittis, yes, whatever mansa vacha karmana, whatever is your thought, word and deed, ultimately gets impacted into form of those vrittis over the so-called the soul, the atma. And when this leaves the body, depending upon what all you have been doing, what Dr. K.K. so beautifully put, what Swamiji so beautifully put, depending upon papas, punyas, this becomes heavier or lighter. The more wrong deeds, mansa vacha karmana you do, thought, word and deed, you do wrong things which are not acceptable by whatever are the tenets of the Shastras, the Vedic Vidya. Your soul becomes heavier and heavier and heavier, is bound to come back again and again and again till it attains absolute purity and reaches the Brahmalok, where the last sensation, as he has said, the sensory, the last sensation of taste leaves when the soul enters into the Brahmalok. And that is the final so-called mukti, or then, those are become what are called as the Jeev Muktas. Now those souls are directly under the command of the Brahma himself, and not that they cannot take a rebirth, but then that is at the command not on your karma, but on what Brahma's dictates are there. I have gone through all these experiences, making my own body to be the instrument for experiences, these things.
Thank you.
And last, my small submission to Swamiji is, I being a blood banker, now we have developed technologies which may be very contrary to what your thoughts may be there, or what Vedic thoughts may be there, that we are now even harvesting stem cells from the menstrual blood flow. We are even using menstrual blood to be transfused to patients to be given new life. It sounds to me a contradiction between what Shastras may say or what science believes. Thank you.
I don't think it is impossible what he mentioned, Doctor mentioned. Thing is, many times medical science or science in general, we take only the results at this juncture and come to conclusions about distant future. That's a big risk. In fact, for instance, genetically engineered crops and all that, what sort of effect it is going to have, nobody has evidence to that. Therefore, even this could lead to some complication. Therefore, in essence, what I say is, the Shastra is the quintessence of whole human wisdom, If we behave accordingly, it will give us a very peaceful life. Only at the end I want to say one thing. In Bangalore, some doctors have been doing this. It may be very good for you, interesting for you. Once in a year, they do Dhanvantari Japa. Okay? Dhanvantari Japa, say you do every day, maybe just 108 times. That's all. Not, you may be busy, you may not be able to do more than that. You take 2 months, and afterwards, all of you sit and do Dhanvantari Puja. Dhanvantari is the Devata for long life and good health. It will give you a lot of insight into in the treatment of your patients. It's a suggestion I've put before you. In Bangalore, they are doing it. Since for 5 years they are doing it, and they're all very happy. If you want, you can take up this.
So I'm going to have the last question. And the last question is that Swamiji said about suspended sentence. If we go to our Yuga, if we talk about Satyug, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kal Yuga. In Satyug we know they were Devtas, so they were Danav also. In Treta Yuga there was Ram, so there was Ravan also. In Dwapar Yuga there was Krishna, there was Kans also. In Kal Yuga there may be a majority of Danavs, but there will be some Devta. And let's become that Devta and not Danav. Let's be the Satyugi in Kal Yuga. Instead of saying I'm a Kal Yugi of Kal Yuga, I should say I am not a Kal Yugi. It may be a 51% may be Kal Yugi, but I am not a Kal Yugi. And that's what I call them as my medical term, that I must teach my patients to live like a Satyugi in Kal Yugi. If that's so, we also know that in Satyugi, the number of people are less. There are only 9 lakhs people. And in Kal Yuga, you have people in crores. And after Kal Yuga, the Satyuga will come. And that will be the Pralaya, Mahapralaya. Whether it will be a third world war or will it be a global warming, I don't know. And when the Mahapralaya comes, and suddenly the population will become less. From crores, it becomes into lakhs. And when it becomes from crores into lakhs, suppose there are 100 crore people and only 1 crore are left, and these 99 crore Atmas, where will they go? They will be in suspended animation there, because they will be waiting for the rebirth, and they will have no opportunity. There will be no yonis left, no human yonis left, and that will be a classical, how I explain that suspended animation is the process, because they will be Atmas lying to wait for their turn, and they may have to wait for three yuga to get enough yonis to get, so therefore they may be suspended for yugas together. That's the way I look the whole thing. Maybe whether Swamiji agree or not, but that's my way of perception. I don't know whether you enjoyed it or not. I enjoyed this interaction a lot. And somebody asked me that why you're wearing a stethoscope, and that reminds me, because when you talk about dharma and religion, I say there is only one dharma. Hinduism may be a religion, Islam may be a religion, Sikhism may be a religion. There is only one dharma, and that is a dharma of humanity, and for me is my doctor dharma, to heal, to help, and to heal others. And I particularly feel is, if all of us adopt that as a dharma in our practice, instead of curing a patient, start healing a patient. We should start healing his manas, his vak, his actions, and if you can make my patient live a better life, that's my purpose of life. I normally say, I never ask my patient what is his age. मैं कभी नहीं पूछता तुम कितने साल के हो. If he says I'm 63, I said no. I'm not bothered about your 63. You have come to me कि मेरे 37 साल ठीक कर दो आगे वाले. So his age is 37 and not 63. So our purpose with interaction with Swamiji is, let's acquire some of his qualities in our practice so that we should become a soul preacher apart from a physical preacher. Thank you very much, Swamiji.
Thank you very much.